Hello, Matt Elliott here.
Hi, Alan Smith here.
Hey guys, Ian Hume here.
Hi everybody, Jerry Taggart here.
Be sure to watch
Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV
For all the latest Leicester City news and information.
You can also subscribe on YouTube and various social media channels.
for the latest updates and news on Leicester City Football Club.
Come on, you foxes!
Happen in 49, 61, 63 or 69 when they reach the final. But the class of 2021 have delivered. Leicester City are FA Cup winners at last and are history makers at Wembley.
They have blown their rivals away. They have blown us all away in truth. Premier League champions 2016. The amazing Leicester City!
Leicester Till I Die TV, your first choice for everything Leicester City. Tune in and join in now.
Right, Chris.
Well, I hope you got your slippers on and your cocoa. It's a late one tonight. Frustrating, but we go again. It's only half time and it's still 0-0. It was the UEFA Cup. No, it wasn't. It was the Europa Conference League quarter-final. I need to get my teeth clean before I say that again. And we drew 0-0 with Eindhoven. Let us know your thoughts on the game. Yeah, it was indeed. Just first message come up here. Facebook user, good evening. Wes Fofana was immense today. Great to have him back. But Maddison really needs to step up in games like this. Worry for next week. I've already had a PSV Eindhoven fan on my Twitter saying, good luck next week. You'll need it. But did PSV impress you? Good evening, Brad. Did they impress you?
No, they were awful. That was a team that since they got on the plane, let alone on the pitch, came here and went 0-0. Let's keep it to 0. Let's do nothing to try and get ourselves ahead in this tie. Let's just try and keep Leicester to 0. And in the end, PSV's game plan worked better than ours because we went from brilliant to boring. We really did. We went from so painfully predictable. We've been talking about it for months on end, how predictable we can be in that, especially in that second half. PSV never wanted a goal. They never wanted a game. In fact, if PSV could have been told, if Susan Whelan or Brendan Rodgers had rang up the PSV manager before and gone, hey, look, do you want to sod this flying off and just go straight to penalties? Because if you can't be asked to play a game of football and we can't create, should we just not bother? I think they've taken it because look, don't get me wrong, 0-0, second leg, still in it. Better side, only just in that game. And the reason I say only just because we were that poor and that uncreative in the second half that we ended up being a team that, at some points I was going, you know what, if PSV score here, it'll be from nothing, but they'll deserve it in a way because they bored us to death.
I couldn't see them scoring. JB, Mike, good evening. Facebook user disagree with awful, and I must admit I do. I didn't think we were awful. We just didn't have that killer edge tonight up front. I mean, I thought the performance for myself was reminded me of last season. We were in control, but we could still be playing coming up to the Crystal Palace game and we wouldn't score. I couldn't see us scoring tonight, but I couldn't see them scoring. But we never looked not in control in that match. No, before we get onto it though, Brad, let's just have a look at sort of all the results from tonight, and then we'll get on to ours. So like you say, we drew 0-0. I mean, Bodo Glimt, they've done Roma again, 2-1. So we're not quite as bad as Roma, but I mean, that's somebody with the surprise of the first leg. Marseille beat PAOK 2-1. They're obviously not okay. And Feyenoord, PSV's, I know it was a bad one, drew 3-3. That was a goal fest, wasn't it? They could have let us have a couple of their goals. That's just greedy. Drawing 3-3 with Slavia Prague. So go on. Yeah, let's. To me, we're still in it. You know, we've not.
Oh yeah, we know. We're definitely still in it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But I agree with you. Like I say, we could still be playing, you know, Sunday morning just before we could invite Crystal Palace to come on instead of PSV, and we still wouldn't have scored. But I thought as a performance, it was in our hands, but we just didn't take our chance.
Yeah, that's that. The thing is, though, after trying to think, well, after Barnes hit the bar or the corner of the goal, or wherever it actually struck, after that, where was our next clear-cut chance?
I'm not arguing about the goals. Yes, that's what I said.
But what I mean is that chance was in like the 38th, 39th minute, and then after that, I do not remember us having a chance. Yes, we controlled the ball. But you want to talk positive, fair. We controlled the ball. PSV never looked at the races. They weren't interested in getting the goal. They weren't interested in a result in terms of winning the game. They were interested in putting 11 men behind the ball. I mean, that first half, they didn't get out their half. They were willing to sit in their own half. And for the majority of the second half, I think they crossed into our half about 3 times. They never showed any attack intent, and we just did not punish them for them. And maybe I'm being a bit harsh with the term awful, but it was definitely boring, Chris. You have to admit that second half, we just became predictable. And it's something we've done for so long that we've talked about. I can tell you this, right? I normally sit here and say, look, we all profess to be football managers. And we do, right? We do as football fans. We tend to try and be the analysis game. But you could have asked a basketball fan, a cricket fan, a non-football fan. You could have asked someone who hates sport to point out how Leicester were trying to get a goal. And it was, they're passing it to the guy on the left. He's making up his mind whether to go down the wing and run into somebody or cut in. And then they're trying to triangle, pass it into the net. It was just, it baffled me because we've sat here before, Chris, haven't we? And we've said, hey, don't judge Brendan's lineup because every time we seem to look at it with a raised eyebrow, it backfires and we win. I love Albrighton, and I've stated this before. I love Albrighton, but he's a completely different style of right midfielder or left midfielder, whichever side you want to have him on. He's a different type of winger to, say, Lootman, who's a lot younger and a lot fitter and got a lot more stamina and a lot more pace to get in behind the back line. I cannot understand why he made the right choice to me. And I'm not saying he had a bad game, by the way. I think he had an all right game, to be fair. He made the right choice in taking off Iheanacho and putting on somebody in that role who's got a bit more pace to maybe getting behind the back line. But I was thinking, is Daka off screen? Because I was expecting Nacho off, Daka on, Lootman on, Albrighton off. I'm not criticising Albrighton when I say this, but that substitution came about 20, 25 minutes too late. I'd have, after that hour mark, I'd have been, bang, get them guys on because we need to change the dynamic. Because it was so easy for PSV to defend that second half that I reckon when Leicester got the ball, even if we did catch them out and a few numbers behind, their defence was going, what? No, don't race back. Evans is going to pass it to Fofana about 30 times. We've got about 4 minutes to get back, track back. Don't worry about rushing back. We've got this here because I think PSV were almost sat there at some point going, why aren't they pressing us as quick?
Yeah, they were putting numbers behind the ball. In fairness to them, but yeah, they did. But to back you up here, you know, I mean, we had 10 shots to their 5, 2 only of which were on target, and 1 of theirs. That, I know you're not a stats fan, but to me that does sum the game up. You know, it shows that we were in control, but we didn't do anything with it, and that's the annoying thing with it. You know, is that we could have done we could have done so much more, and we just didn't. I mean, we'll just go through some comments here. Inacho must have missed 3 big chances in 3 games.
Every striker misses an opportunity in a
Yeah.
game. I'm not looking to miss them.
Was Rodgers trying to throw the game Lookman on instead of Daka up front for a while? I mean, it worked against Liverpool. Let's not, it didn't work tonight. I was surprised by that. I'm not going to argue with you, Mike. Just the European first leg, edgy and a draw in Europe. There were some horrific scenes apparently going on in France. Barnes and Inacho missed sitters, and their game plan worked massively. PSV should have had a penalty, though. We'll come on to that later, but yeah.
Never in a month of Sundays was that penalty. Never a month of Sundays, Mondays, Tuesdays, or Wednesdays. Never in a month of calendars was it a penalty. Never, mate. Ricardo slipped on the wet turf and he fell over him. The guy even apologised to Ricardo. Never a penalty in a month of Sundays.
We'll come on to that later. David says, frustrating game. We were so good in our transition in the first half, but we were terrible in attacking shot. Nacho was abysmal in trying to shoot. Whole play aside, Barnes was also useless.
Yeah, he ran into everybody. Barnes literally either ran into somebody or panicked and went, "Where's my triangle passing buddies?"
Yeah.
If he didn't have a Dewsbury Hall or at one point Lukeman or any action near him, he didn't have a clue what to do. And it's baffling because Barnes is a lot better than that.
Yeah. I mean, we know, the tie's not over, so let's not go overboard on the criticism. We've come out of that. We've played worse in Europe. We know we've played worse in Europe. We've PSV, literally, I mean, if you're looking at that tie, I'm sorry, for me, PSV are favourites. They're a lot stronger than us. They're doing well in their league. They score a lot of goals, which they didn't tonight. They also concede goals, which they didn't tonight. But it's not the end of the world. Do you know what I mean?
No.
And, no. And sometimes we've got to look at it and go, well, okay, it was 0-0, but as I say, that guy said to me, he tweeted me, PSV fan. I've actually invited him on, but I've not heard back from him. But he said, "Good luck next week. You're going to need it." And I went, "Well, all the pressure's on you. I
would hasten to ask him if he gets a chance to watch the show back. Good luck for what? Because that was the most, and I think this is the reason I'm so frustrated the second half. Is PSV was so, what's the word I'm looking for? Boring. They were so lackluster and effortless. It was almost embarrassing. And I think that's why I'm frustrated. We haven't got our noses in front in a more pivotal way. Because I will tell this PSV fan now, if you're saying good luck, if you play like that at your place and we find 10% extra creativity, brain power, we'll beat you easily.
Yeah.
We can find more creativity. We'll beat PSV because that was pathetic from PSV.
Yeah.
That was timid and scared.
I didn't look at that game. I didn't look at that game and think this is the team that's second only to Ajax. Know, the player that Maduki was it that we were interested in. Well, he didn't impress me, to be honest with you. I don't know. Looking at that game, you wouldn't think we were interested in him. But looking at that starting lineup there, I mean, the back four. Castagna, Evans, Fofana, Piera. I didn't like Tielemans in that holding role. I don't think we saw the best of Tielemans tonight, and I think that probably had an effect on our forward play. Maddison, Dewsbury Hall. Is Maddison again on the wing? Is that best for him? And then Barnes, Inacho, and Albrighton. So I would question the Tielemans and Maddison roles tonight.
I mean, it's easy to question when we have such frustrating results. Let's not forget that against Manchester United and against Brentford, having Maddison out on that right wing position, if you will, caused them all sorts of chaos. So
I'm not saying it was I looked at that lineup before kickoff.
Yeah,
and thought, yeah, that's a good lineup.
Yeah, I mean, it is, and. Maybe you could put a tad concern on how trusted is Samari and Chowdhury if they can't get in tonight's game to allow Tillemans the freedom, because I
That
did
was going to be
point
my
out
next question to you, actually.
yeah, well, great minds think alike, mate, because
Yeah.
I have to admit, I feel a little bit sorry for Tillemans, because ever since this transfer talk, and I say this every time, guys and girls, children of all ages listen to the show or whatever, but stop falling for the lazy journalism that wants to and is going to make every single thing Tillemans did sound worse or not as good as it is. Please stop falling for it. Please stop thinking, oh yeah, well, he wants to go and actually he's not performing well, maybe stop him. No, Manchester United, I was lucky I wasn't on the stream, because I nearly had an argument with you guessed you had on, didn't I, verbally through the comments saying, I think you've got it wrong about Tillemans. He was instructed to help Mendy in that game against United. That's why. And yes, maybe we're restricting Tillemans concerns me that we don't have the faith in who could play indeed his role without Mendy being there. Because I like Tillemans to feel like he's a bit more expressive and we get the better out of him and he's a better player when we do that. But it is what it is. Again, we're not out of time. It wasn't like we got completely dominated and then I'd much rather City go in. We're a bit lazy in our own doing. That's the reason we're not in front and going, oh, Gordon Bennett, God, Jesus, they had 21 shots, 17 on target. How we got away, you know, I mean, that's a positive way to look at it.
You've got to look. I mean, were they bad or did we, not let them be good? I'm going to say hello to Luca. I mean, Luca's laughing at 0-0. How was your European night this week, Luca? I forgot it's Arsenal. You were too shit last year to get into Europe, weren't you? Yeah, that was the Arsenal I was thinking of.
Yeah. Hold on, Chris. Hold on, Chris. Hold on. How did you get on Monday night, mate?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, you lost 3-0 to Crystal Palace.
How's that?
No. Chris, gets better. This lul's coming from a guy whose team doesn't play European football and threw all his toys out the pram and screaming about Luke Bottling top four. Enjoy
top
it,
four.
Luke.
How's that going for you, Luca?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I forget. Sometimes, of course, you're not always an Arsenal fan. Sometimes you're a Man United fan, aren't you? I forget that, Luca. I forget that. Banter, Luca, banter. Mike says also they're in a title race with Ajax, which could go. Yes, it could indeed. They're 4 points behind now. Then don't comment. Oh, Mike's putting him in his place. There are 10 players in that starting 11. One well known for me, and hence shocked they didn't get a goal. I mean, be honest, you see, at least in this chat, Mike, you get a chance to talk. When you go onto Luca's channel with Luca and Stephen, it's like, a couple of kids in the schoolyard arguing at each other all the time. I do wonder why you have each other on each other's shows, guys, because all you ever do is argue. I want to be honest with you. It's boring. But anyway, here we go. So now I say I wasn't over disappointed with that lineup. And like I say, yes, it wasn't the most exciting game. It wasn't end to end and shots raining all over the place. I mean, we let Randers have more shots than that when we played them. But if they play like that in the second half, in the second leg, no reason why we can't progress, I don't think.
There's one thing that's been a frustration of mine though all season, and I agree. Yeah, if we somehow get a collective 10% brain flux of how to attack a team. And I know I said I'm not doing a tactical ball tonight because that second half just bored me to the point that there's nothing tactical. I think we controlled the game. There wasn't really much to point out, and I'd just be talking for 5 minutes trying to think of something to say, I'll be honest with you. Yeah. One thing that I do notice is Leicester seem to have one attacking thing in common with a certain pop star, Beyonce, because like I said to you, anybody out there could predict where do Leicester do all their attacking in the second half, and it's no criticism, but especially when someone like Albrighton's on the right, to the left, everything Leicester do is on the fucking left where we passed it. You will know it because, and again, the reason Harvey Barnes had a bad game is because he kept doing a Homer Simpson. He kept seeing a bloke in front of him and going, go, go, go. Oh, Harvey, mate, where's your brain gone tonight? That didn't help us. Some players didn't just use their fucking brain tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, we were floating crosses into like a 7-foot goalkeeper as well. Where's the logic in that? Where was the intricate passing to drill it across the 6-yard box where a 6'9" or 6'11" goalkeeper can't do much about it? We were putting in crosses in for him to go, thanks very much, mate. Thanks for that. What a waste of an attack. And that's what it became. It became a second half of wasteful Leicester.
Doug says here, and I've got to agree with you, Doug. For me, none of the British club won tonight. Think 0-0 is a good result, though. So, as I say, I do, because we're going to their place next week, and apparently it's this amazingly noisy stadium. Well, I think our fans, did their fair share today. I didn't hear the PSV fans much after kick-off. But the pressure is going to be on PSV. They've got to this at their place. They've got to come at us. And I know the away goal doesn't act anymore, and I don't think it should. I never particularly liked that, but it did get us to a final once against Wimbledon. But I just think if we go to theirs next week, we just got to we've got to let them frustrate them. The crowd, I think, will get on their back, and we've just got to hit them on the break. I think Daka's got to start next week. I think this is perfect for Daka. I mean, I know we've got 2 games every week now between now and the end of the season, but he rotated well. I didn't even have a problem with his substitutions. I don't think Lookman coming on for Nacho was a completely weird decision, because, like I say, look at him. He did that role against Liverpool and sneaked a goal.
Sorry, you can add anything else?
Carry on. No, carry on.
I was going to say, look, don't take it away from the frustrations of the fact that I'm frustrated with the way we went about it. It's the performance second half. I'm well aware that 0-0 is a good result to go to. We've seen, if that's all they've got to offer, we shouldn't have much to do in the second leg of just step it up a little bit. The frustrations I have is we're very simplistic and we're very predictable, and that could be our undoing, because if they play like that at home, then I'm baffled as to how they're doing so well in their league. I really am, because they had a ding dong of a first tie against Copenhagen and thrashed them 4-0, and I'm just scratching my head as to wondering what PSV are going to do at home, because if it's all like that, unless we match them and play like we did today in the second half, then we're going to go to penalties. You might as well just say,
maybe we should remember that, and no disrespect, the Dutch league is very much like the Spanish league. You got 2, possibly 3 decent teams, and after that, they're all much of a muchness, really. Like you say, they've actually played, and I don't know if you got the same commentary as I did on BT, but apparently they've played something like 12 times. They started off in the Champions League qualifiers and played 6 games in there. Didn't qualify, went into the Europa League, played 6 games in there, dropped into the conference, and possibly played 6 games in there. I mean, how many European Cups do you want to be thrown out of PSV Eindhoven?
Well, but at least they didn't do a Spurs and go out of all 3. They're still in it, aren't they? But again, it's just the worry is if they're so much better at home, and that's what we should apparently be worried about. Because if it's off tonight's performance, I'm sleeping easy tonight, knowing that, like I said, if we get a bit more about us, we should see it off. But I just can't see it. There's no way they're doing what they're doing in that league, surely, and scoring the amount of goals they're doing by playing that poorly and that negative. Because it was negative from them. It was negative even from an away perspective, in my opinion. If Leicester had gone to PSV tonight and you swapped how they played, and Leicester didn't really see the ball and they didn't create a single chance to worry their goalkeeper at all, then I'd be sat here going, that was more negative than I hoped. I'd be happy to take 0-0. I'm still happy to take 0-0. Don't get it twisted. I'm not annoyed at the result. I would have liked to have got our noses in front. And the frustration comes from thinking we could have got our noses in front. I know Lookman's played up front before as a sub, and I get it, and he has done well for us there. But that game required a double change. That required a change of pace. That required the faster front man going on in Dakar. That required that more gun-ho forward, cut inside approach from Loopman instead of the reliable Mark Albrighton. And I'm not one to criticise Mark Albrighton, because again, it's not because he had a bad game, it's because they're completely different wide players, and we needed that. And it came too late for me, about 10, 15 minutes too late.
What makes me laugh is that, and this is why I love the game of football. You know me, we've had these discussions, shall we say, all season about results and performances. And, you know, you've gone on and, you know, you said, well, look, you know, we beat Randers. It doesn't matter whether we let them have 21 shots. And I'm going, no, but it was an awful performance, blah, blah, blah. And now we're kind of almost sort of switched around totally and going on each other's side. I just think for me, yes, I was very disappointed with PSV. I was expecting a lot more. I was worried going into this match. I've got to be honest with you. But I just sat there, laid on the sofa watching it. And I'm like, yeah, like you say, it wasn't, from a neutral's point of view, it wasn't the most exciting game. But we've played a lot worse in Europe. And, you know, last season, I mean, you know, you compare that performance tonight, and it was a 0-0, against the home performance against Slavia Prague last season when they knocked us out, it was 2-0, then to me, the actual performance is, 50%, better. But we just haven't got that. Maybe you should have gone with, like I say, Dakar up front from the start.
Maybe, but at the end of the day, I understand why he played Nacho. He played well against Manchester United. He was robbed of an assist. He got us the goal that ended up getting us the point. From that game, and I could understand it. But for me, after 60 minutes, Brendan would have seen, right, PSV aren't changing anything. They're not trying to get at us more. They're here for the nil. That's what they were here for.
Yeah.
You figure that, that was like one of them challenges where watch the video and figure out what they're trying to do. And you watch it, you go, right, just to be safe, if after 60 minutes they're still being sitting deep and they're still not interested in playing an actual decent game of football, right? And it got to that point where nothing had changed. PSV were 11 men behind the ball. Ollie was, maybe announcing Ruud van Nistelrooy as your manager next season wasn't the best idea. Apparently it's a Dutch tradition, but maybe not, because they didn't look interested at all in the whole entire time.
I don't like this announcing a manager's going to leave.
I felt sorry. Was it Pellegrini you said on the show?
When we won it,
I think it's disrespectful in a way. I think
also the players aren't going to give their all. I mean,
no. I'm looking at
what's happening at Man United. Ralph, to me, they're looking at that and going, "Yeah, well, he's not going to be in next season."
An interim manager. I mean, can you imagine just quickly? Well, with Ralph, how bad you got to be as an interim manager if they're already looking at replacing you, even though they're going to wait till the end of the season?
Yes.
Yeah. Now they're trying to propel the deal to get him out of Ajax before the season's over. But anyway, what my point is at 60 minutes then, and whilst I'm not too confused with the substitutions, and I understand he made them, I was screaming, mate. I was screaming. I had to watch it on foreign commentary, which didn't help. But I was puzzled as to why there wasn't a double change. At 60 minutes, right? PSV were done.
Because that's when he usually makes his subs, isn't it?
You what?
That's when he usually makes his subs, Brendan, 60 minutes.
Yeah, and I was expecting, and I know he... what was the other change he made? Because he took Nacho off Loopman, and I think who did he take off? Did he take... I forget who he took off now.
I'll tell you. I shall tell you in a minute.
I think it was... I know... Was it James Justin?
He took Lookman off and Pierre off for Justin.
Yeah,
which was a straight swap, really.
Yeah, and that was only when that was the only time that we saw Leicester. Because I replied to someone sweet about it, and I said it tongue in cheek, obviously, but I kind of mean it. Up until that point, 99.9% of Leicester's attacking threat came down that left side. When we put Loopman out there and Dakar in the striking role, 85% of Leicester's creativity came down on the left side. And that is a huge difference in terms of we actually, and I know teams have a preferred side. They have a stronger sided player who can put in a better ball, who's a bit more of the attack minded. And I know you can only use that to a tactic to draw them out to it, get complacent of defending that side, leaving gaps open to attack it. But, and this is what I mean, this is why it's not disrespectful Brighton, and I have to keep reminding people that I'm not disrespectful Brighton. I'm making a comparison in two different styles of players. We tried to do that, but we had nothing to switch it to on that left-hand side, on that right-hand side, because we switched it to that right-hand side. It was James Justin or Pereira picking up the ball on the halfway line, and Mark Albrighton's trying to ping in a 30-yard floaty ball into the box to a 6'9", 6'11", whatever it is, gangly goalkeeper. It just baffled me how it took us until 79 minutes to try and attack that box from both directions.
Yeah, I know what you mean. We're going to have a look at everybody. We're a few comments behind, so we'll look at everybody's comments and we'll do that straight after this. If you are watching on YouTube, please smash the likes and share if you can, but most of all, please give us a subscribe. We are moving very slowly, and I appreciate all your support. And once again, thank you to Terry for becoming a gold member the other day. Really do appreciate it. And I'm going to say thank you to Daniel. One second. He sent me these the other day, and I'm going to be honest with you. Absolutely. Oh, got one. Hit one, drop one. Leicester's first game at the what was then the Walker Stadium against Atletico Bilbao. Filbert Street program. The total history of Filbert Street. Unfortunately, I have to admit I do remember a lot of that. And then the program Farewell to Filbert Street. It was the Legends game on the 13th of May. Leicester City versus the Leicester City All-Stars. So thanks for those, mate. Really do appreciate that. Right, so let's get up with some comments here. Facebook user, I don't know why there's all this talk of not worrying about PSV away. Rennes were a shadow of the side that lost 2-0 away. We all know European night away is always a tough game. It is, and I'm not saying it's going to be an easy game, but like I say, it's all onto them. The pressure's on them. David, I almost wonder if we'd have been better off starting with Justin on the right and bringing in Pierre second as a sub. Pierre wasn't great, to be honest, and Justin, just back from injury, has been pretty good. Mike says, yes, at home they were more expansive and tenacious. I watched them once this season against SG20 and obliterated them and won with 75% possession roughly. They will approach the game much different. And I mean, let's be honest with you, at home, he says, I expect them to, and I expect them to come out and come at us, which will give us the chance if he does start. And I'm not saying, I think Inacho wasn't that bad, to be honest with you. He held the ball up. He still has some lovely touches to get through, but it just wasn't his night. I don't start criticising Inacho. This isn't at you, Brad, but last year we were singing the praises. He was scoring goals with his arse, and he was the best thing since sliced bread. He had a bad night. We've got to appreciate that. But his overall game was okay. Mike says, I like the pre-agreement of a manager, but shouldn't be announced publicly. That is the tradition in Holland and Belgium. Facebook user just confirming. It allows the club to start planning for the next season, the transfers, etc. That does make sense, but then I always say it was better that we got Rodgers in with 10 games to go because he learned more about the team in those 10 games than any amount of wasteful and useless pre-seasons.
I just don't. The one thing I ever currency with is if you're a player, and I suppose it works the other way with what I'm about to say, but if you're suddenly maybe a favourite of the manager that's taking over, and I know obviously it's infamous, and I actually did say when it was announced, thank fault he's not managing them now, because I think he'd bring a totally different PSV to the table. But maybe if you're a player and you're thinking, yeah, but what if this guy comes in and doesn't like me, or what if he comes in and he changes the system and all of a sudden the position I play no longer exists because he doesn't like that stuff. I don't know if that does sit. It still doesn't sit well with me. I understand it, and don't publicise it. Don't tell the players. I'd be more on board with it. Or here's a crazy idea: if for whatever reason your manager doesn't want to stay for the next season, just keep your mouth shut entirely. Or if he's obviously they're not getting rid of him because he's doing a bad job there, because they're competing for Ajax for the title. They're in the quarterfinals of the European competition. So if you're not going to sack him to replace him like what we did with Brendan, in bringing Brendan in the way you normally would do it, don't say anything.
Yeah, and no, I agree totally. It just, I don't know. To me, it undermines the managers that's in there as well. He's kind of, maybe his mind's, I'm saying not on the job, but like I said, I do believe it's undermining him. But hey, it's what they do. It's what there we go. Rodgers deserves to be questioned tonight. Lookman over Daka up front. Totally disagree. Me. I mean, that was for what, 65, 10 minutes, 12 minutes. I think that was all that was for. And then Daka came on, so it wasn't gonna. I don't have a problem with that. Like I say, to be honest with you, try something different, because, sometimes, they might not have been expecting Lookman to come on and come up front, and he might just have danced through and got the goal a la Liverpool. Who knows? Mike says here, as a player, you need to be confident in yourself that you will be a good player under whoever. I just think, I kind of think as well and this is what I get with when managers are changed regularly, because all those players are there. What they don't know is what Ruud van Nistelrooy's preferred system is going to be.
Yeah, exactly.
He may come in with a completely different system and suddenly go, you don't fit into that system. Not that he's a bad player, he just doesn't fit into that system. Like you said, you don't know whether that position's going to be there. And that's why I don't get the fact that, changing managers midway through the season because you're stuck with players that you don't really necessarily want. But hey, we're all managers deep down,
quickly,
aren't we?
If somebody in the comments, I'm sure Mike, the whiz kid, can, because he seems to be able to learn the knowledge of everything, it seems, when it comes to commenting in here. So I might ask this more directly to Mike, but if Doug's still around, he might know. Why are they getting rid of their manager? Is there a reason? Has he got a new job? Is he wanting to move on past his new himself? Is it just a case of he's taking this? Has he done an O'Neill? Has he gone, look, I've taken you as far as I can, it's time someone else takes the reins? Or is there something else? Because when I first heard that, I was under the illusion that PSV were doing well in the league, and it made me question, what are they, like 8th, 9th in the league or something? They're having a bad season, because it came out of nowhere that he'd been he's going to be appointed manager next season. And again, I know it's a Dutch and Belgium tradition, by all accounts from Mike and that said it in the comments, but I'm just wondering, is there another reason behind it? Because surely you're looking at their league form. Obviously, as a fan, I'd be going, why is he going again? Has he come out and announced that, like O'Neill did with us, that I've taken the club as far as I can take them, and somebody else needs to take the torch?
Yeah, I mean, Mike said here, and as you look at PSV there, they're not actually that bad, But Mike said, which was what I had heard. He wants to hand the reins to someone who can just take them to the next level.
So it's an O'Neill job.
Fair enough. But I think it plays, let's say, a little bit into our hands, and I think that's just writing the title off for them, for me. Let's have a look. I mean, as you know, Alan always does the. Oh no! I tell you what, we've not talked about the penalty.
There weren't a penalty. Never was.
Not for you. It was for me.
No, Ricardo.
I think if we had VAR, that would have been given.
Never in a month for Sundays, mate.
Yeah.
He slips. There's no contact at all. There's never a penalty.
Well, there was contact. There was when they showed the replays. Yes, he slipped, but then that doesn't stop a penalty being given. He slipped, possibly. Well, he did slip, but he did. There was contact, and like I say, VAR. You know what VAR's like?
No,
I think we got off with one there.
I don't. I never saw it, and I don't think PSV made a big deal of it. Look, if you're to look at clear and obvious, which it wasn't against Manchester United, but we moved, then looking at it first up, I don't think he made a bad decision. And then I thought, oh, let's have a look at this, because if he's got a leg like you, if he's left the leg straying, we've got away with him. But no, mate, he literally just slips on his arse. There's nothing you can do about it. He's out of control of his own body. There's nothing he can do about the blokes and whatever. And look, I can understand why the manager was a bit at hands in it. I'm not saying that they weren't in the right to appeal of it and think that it was a foul, but it didn't exactly bother PSV. They weren't bothered. And to me, if that had been a penalty, it'd have been one of the softest penalties going. If that's the case, if that had been given, Chris, and I was Harvey Barnes in that situation, I'd have run into the box at every opportunity I got and fallen over.
Yeah,
I would.
As I say, I think
it was never a penalty in my opinion.
Well, we agree. We agree to disagree with that because I think I mean the referee didn't have a bad game. He didn't throw the cards about, which was fine. But maybe the one he did, and it was against Albrighton, but maybe a couple of should have got it for the fouls on Maddison all match.
Maybe.
I just think had we had VAR, you know what VAR's like. You don't. No, they look at it and go.
Let's correct that statement. We know what the people running VAR are like.
Yes, the people that running VAR would have looked at that and said, "I'm just trying to see and just see if I can get up what Brendan or anybody said on it." But there was contact, and I think VAR would have given it, unfortunately. But we got away with it.
Yeah.
Scott, good evening. How the hell are you, sir? Hope you are well. To be fair, the referee had quite a good game, although I thought he was a bit too fair with some of the tackles, as there could have been a lot more cards. There could have been, but don't we complain when there's too many cards?
Yeah, we moan when a ref start with game, and now we're moaning that he's not.
I don't think he's I mean, he's saying the ref had a fair game, and Maddison's on a yellow, so had he got booked in that, he would have missed the next game. So he's walking a bit of a tightrope, is James. Let's just see what Rogers had to say. It's a good performance. There were not too many chances. PSV had an early one, but apart from that, I thought we defended strongly. There were not too many chances in the game. Maybe a little more quality in the final third would have made it a bit easy for us. We just lacked that bit of quality up there. We just didn't have that extra final bit of quality to create that chance. There was no surprise in terms of PSV. They have good players and are a threat on the counter-attack. Domestically, PSV score a lot of goals home and away, but we restricted them to not much. Yeah, I mean, that's a fair assessment.
Probably got the assessment spot on. He was very right. In the second half, we lacked that creative. No, didn't we? We lacked the creative imagination, I guess, because again, when we're not matching the tempo of the pace on either side, we are, I hate to say it, but very one-sided.
Yeah.
And when we talk about it, and again, I can't. It's like an itch that I can't scratch, but I just can't. I'm kind of getting a bit tired. I might just record myself and just play it when it comes to pointing out my pet peeve with how we go about it is. But you just need to be a bit more creative in which direction we go about it as well.
Yeah, I'm just having a look here. I mean, Talk Sport have got Leicester survive penalty scare to keep European hopes alive after entertaining draw with PSV. Entertaining? Okay. What were you watching? Tell us, please.
Because I disagree with both of them statements, because I'm very adamant it wasn't a penalty and it was laughable, and it was definitely not entertaining.
No, it wasn't entertaining. I've got to be honest with you. They do say that they were the better team for the duration of the first leg on home soil, creating a few chances. I'm just seeing what they can. Pierre was nearly caught out again in the second half after appearing to bring down Cody Gapacco, who has attracted interest from Leicester, Arsenal, and Leicester. Arsenal and Liverpool in the Leicester area. Despite muted appeals, Leicester appeared fortunate to get away with a clumsy challenge that could easily have resulted in the VAR check had the system been in play in the quarter-final tie. And that's the thing for me. That's the thing. It is, had it gone to VAR, it's the guy sat behind that counter and he says to the referee, nope, just go and have another look. And all I can say is that on what I was watching on the BT, when I'm presuming it was the same link, but you obviously you had foreign commentators. I know Steve McManaman on the BT said he thought we weren't lucky to get away with it. But hey, look, it wasn't a penalty. It wasn't given. We go again, and we just, we thank our lucky stars,
I suppose. And look, I think, unfortunately, the one part of your statement I will agree with is the person behind VAR probably would have given it, but it's never a penalty. It's just not a penalty. I don't understand how anyone can comprehend someone sliding on their arse, having anything they can do to stop themselves making contact with somebody. It's just gravity. It's just what happens. You can't. For me, that's never a penalty. I don't care if it's Liverpool, Manchester United. I don't care if it's Leighton Orient. You just don't give a penalty for that, in my opinion. But again, sadly, you're right. Had VAR been in a situation, it probably would have been given it. But one thing I will say, and one thing I will take a positive out of tonight's game, well, there's quite a lot of positives when you break it down, but the biggest positive I could say is maybe PSV being so dull in that game and saving obviously all their energy for their home tie, where they'll come at us. Well, you're expecting them, but you feel they have to come at us and be a bit more aggressive and on the front foot. But you would say that if they do that, that might just play into Leicester's hands even more than it did for us in the first half. Because in the first half, they corrected their mistakes and Leicester didn't adjust in the second half to break them down a different way. But in the first half, we did have a bit more joy, didn't we? And like I said at the very start of the show, it was brilliant to boring in 45 minutes of football.
Yes, yeah. Scott says that Tielemans didn't have a good game again. He said, no, Scott, I don't. Sorry, Brad doesn't have to say anything. Scott, I respect your opinion, mate, but I don't think he was playing not in a role that suits him. He was having to sort of hold back. For how often did you hear Tielemans' name mentioned when we were like in that final third? Not very often, Had he been able to go forward, had Chowdhury or Samari played more, in that defensive role, who knows what might have happened. But he didn't have a bad game, did he, Brad?
No, he didn't. And again, people need to stop reading articles and start watching the match and looking how it lined up, because we didn't play with a defensive midfielder. We played with a flat free midfield tonight to go for to compensate for not having an Ndidi or a Mendy or a Chowdhury or a Samari on that pitch. Obviously, one of them can't because he's unregistered. The other one can't because he's out for the season. So, again, questions as to why one of them wasn't given a chance. Clearly, they're not doing enough on the football field for Brendan to trust them on their own in that. And Brendan obviously didn't want to do what he did with Mendy against Man United, which was restrict Tielemans' movement by having him almost babysit Mendy in the nicest way to Mendy. Because I'm not saying Mendy can't play that position. He can, but I think for that reassurance, he's asked to do a restricted role where his movement's restricted, his forward movement's restricted, and he's very much a deep line playmaker. He's one of them that will sit a bit deeper, get stuck and do the defensive work, and then he'll get that ball to a Dewsbury Hall, to a Maddison, to then proceed the attack forward. Yeah. So did he have a bad game? No, he actually didn't. He actually had quite a good game, in my opinion, given the role he was given. Please, please, for the love of all that is holy, stop thinking of Tielemans as an attacking player and reading into the media. Please, please stop doing it, fans. Please, because it's getting on my nerves.
Going to say good evening to Dan at Turf Moorhouse. How the devil are you, sir?
Agent Lampard and Dan Dice has done it again. Well done, mate. That was brilliant. It's the only time I've ever really enjoyed a watch along and cheering for Burnley at the same time. Great news for you, mate.
I just didn't get the fact that who you were in that chat. It's obvious when you say, because I thought I subscribed to it and everything, but I just didn't put two and two together. I expected you to be on as Fox's Focus, whatever the other one was. But
it's because literally all I did was change the name on it to make it easier than set up a separate one. So I just changed the name. I don't have Fox's Focus anymore.
Well, there you go. I mean, that was weird because I was doing our sort of preview show for tonight's game, and when I left that, Burnley were 1-0 up, and literally as I logged on to join Dan in the chat to do the watch along with him, they got the penalty. Now, if you're talking penalties that weren't penalties, but but that said, Dan, as I said yesterday, and I'm sure you're not bothered because you got the 3 points anyway. You are, you can't touch in the box, because if you touch somebody, they're going to go down if they've got any brains, and then they get the penalty. So there we go. But anyway, you got the 3 points, which is the main one. Steve McManaman bores me to death. Doug, I just don't understand why we didn't have Robbie Savage, but yeah, he has got he hasn't got the best voice for
I tell you what, if you've got insomnia, right, or you struggle to get sleep at night, and you can get like whale sounds and white noise sounds. Just get yourself a commentary with no other audio than just them two commentating. The perfect ones to help get you to sleep are Steve McManaman and Michael Owen. Get them in a commentary booth and let them talk. You don't even need them to do more than 2 minutes recording.
I've got one of those machines at the side of my bed that plays rain and mosquitoes and what have you. And it's great twice, but after that, Chris, David said, Chris, while I might agree with you on what you're contributing to the team tonight, how then can we change it next week when both Ndidi and Mendy can't play? He may again be restricted and we will complain. He can only put out. I mean, I've been critical of Brendan this season. I've never said Brendan out because I think he is the man for the job and taking us forward. If he gets us with the season we've had, if he gets us to a semi-final of a European competition and top 10 in the league, he should get manager of the season with what problems we've had. I don't know. Maybe I expected to see Chowdhury. I'm going to be honest with you, but then I just think I didn't like Tielemans in that role tonight, but he did what he had to do for the team. And he does it without complaining.
Yeah, and I just wonder if maybe through the analysis of tonight's game, and where Leicester did get things really positively right in the attacking sense in that first half, and I won't even say especially in that first half because it was literally in the first half. We didn't do anything in that second half that I can remember where we did anything to trouble them attacking wise. I mean, I know we got near the box, but in terms of actually having a shot, nothing doing in my brain to remember it. But I just wonder if maybe I do feel a bit sorry for Lookman because I don't know what he's really done. Some people have kind of made that comparison, didn't they, between Under not getting not getting any game time near the end because of his loan deal. And I'm exactly like you, mate, scratching my thinking. But I just wonder if maybe we play the same system at PSV. If it's Lookman on the right, Daka up front, Maddison, Dewsbury Hall and Yuri in that midfield three, maybe he's then allowed a bit more of the shackles and he's able to link up more because this game he was more quite literally a passer. Whereas if he's alongside Maddison and driving, you might find that Dewsbury Hall takes that defensive-ish role or sits back in that V as they go forward instead of Yuri Tielemans. That might be where Brendan looks to give him back that creative edge by dropping Maddison back into that into that system of a flat back midfield three.
as you know, we always ask Alan, and he always does it for us, Bless, to pick his man of the match and rate the players and the manager's performance. He's at the ground, so he sees a lot more than we do sat here at home on the telly. So I always, accept. He sees a lot more of the whole gameplay. I did flash it up earlier. There were misses, but he's gone for his man of the match, as did Flash Scores, in fairness. He went for Dewsbury Hall as his man of the match, and he gave the manager 7 and the team 7. And I think he got it right.
Yeah, look, I'm gonna agree with him. And it may sound a bit bizarre. Maybe people might be thinking, bloody hell, Brad, the bashing you just gave him for that second half performance, how are you agreeing with a 7? And that's because, to a point, I will give credit that even though the end product and the final third wasn't pretty at all and almost non-existent for that second half, PSV was so negative and so bad. It was credit to Leicester as well, because they kept such a structured line that they couldn't get out their half, and we did control the game. We did have better of it. I mean, say of that what you will, given the clear-cut chances that Leicester had. Because again, I'm sat here saying Leicester because I can't say that Leicester and PSV had clear-cut chances, because they didn't have any PSV to my knowledge, apart from literally in that first minute or so. But yeah, it was a comfortable performance. We just, like Brendan said, it's like he watches his show or has it on his headphones before he does these press interviews. Because like we've expressed all tonight, we just lacked that killer edge in that second half to take the momentum of our first half performance into an even more positive situation.
Yeah.
But if that's how they play at home, easy.
Yeah, I'm going to say good evening to Rich. How the devil are you, sir?
Yes, no, it was.
Well, we would disagree.
Well,
we don't really agree on this 100%, me and Brad. But it wasn't a game that the neutral will sit there thinking, "I'm glad I watched that game." You know what I mean? So, but we've played a lot worse in Europe. We've played a lot worse, and it's one of those games. It's one of those games. You got to ask yourself: were PSV that bad? And you can say yes, straight away, or did we not let them be good? If you see what I mean.
Both, to be fair, I will give us credit on that. In that pose, it's just again, like I said, it was just the fact that in the second half we seemed to lack that impetus to get forward and get in behind as we were in the first half. And I suppose, if you're going to play negative, credit to PSV, at least they kept it negative for 90 minutes, because I suppose you have to give them a little bit credit that they were that negative in the second half that they kind of frustrated Leicester, because they barely pressed in that first half and they somehow found a way to press us even less in that second half. I mean, we thought, we used to jest at United fans saying that Ollie would park the bus with 11 men, but I think they had the substitutes bench on at one point trying to park the bus. They had that many players back behind the ball. So maybe I'm doing negative PSG a disservice for how PSG. I wish we got a 0-0 draw against PSG. I'd be very thrilled. I wouldn't be so negative PSV. At
least like I said before, at least we're not Roma. So we're still in it. It's, am I happy with a 0-0? No. But it could be worse. And that's what we've got to think. We could be looking at maybe, well, we wouldn't be, because they were never going to score, but it could have been really, we could have lost basically, and then it'd be uphill. And I think going to PSV at 0-0, the emphasis is on them to come at us, and depending on the players that we've got, then we should hit them on the break. Kiri Dewsbury Hall is the BBC man of the match as well, as voted for by everybody. David says, just last comment here, I would say first half was very good, attacking and fluid passing. Second was boring and slow, but PSV wanted it that way. So the fact we didn't take it to them meant poor end to the match. I think that kind of sums it up, and that's really what you've been saying, Brad. I'm going to say what we're going to go through in a brief minute, and we'll be back straight after this. Yeah, www.leicestertillidie.com/shop for all the Leicester Till I Die merchandise. Just going to run through the shows that are coming up because it's a little bit different this week. Tomorrow at 8 o'clock, we've got Bernardine, Man City fan, coming on with Connor from the Cop Council, and we'll be doing a look at the Manchester City Liverpool game, which could very well be game of the season, or could very well be a boring 0-0. As when you're looking forward to these games, they sometimes are. So that's at 1 o'clock tomorrow. You know, is the title going to be decided tomorrow? Well, of course it isn't, but it could give a big pointer to which way the title might be going. Mike says, great show, big up Brad and Chris. Thank you very much, sir. Nippon, welcome along, big up to you as well. Then at 7 o'clock tomorrow evening, we've got myself chatting along to Jonathan Morgan, ex-Leicester City women's manager. So getting his thoughts on how their season's going. Not so good on the last couple of results, unfortunately. 6 o'clock Saturday, we've got the Palace review. 1:30, we've got the Palace watch along. And on Sunday, and at 7 o'clock, because we're going to nip off and watch the Man City Liverpool game, we'll be doing the Palace post match at 7. And I'm sure that Brad will be keeping his answers short, that he can get straight over to Nippon's channel for 9 o'clock. Brad, thank you very much as always.
Yeah, no worries, mate. Enjoy it as always, and let's hope the second leg is entertaining all around and we don't get put to sleep by it. I mean,
yes,
I suppose if it could be as boring as it likes if Leicester get through, but I think I'd prefer
if the game was like today and we go through 1-0, you're not going to complain.
Oh no, I'll be doing cartwheels out the front door, mate. I'll be doing a Steve Austin. I'll be smashing beers and standing on the corner of the sofa. Yeah, well, maybe not that bad. It's not much.
No, Mike said it's called a matter of opinion. Yeah, it's called a matter of opinion, indeed. But what? I don't know what you're referring to there, Mike. And I'm sorry, but I do pass my apologies on to Chloe when you see her. I was on the Crystal Palace Eagle-Eyed Football channel earlier doing a preview, and I did actually let it slip that Brighton were bottom of the form table, and they were very happy.
Well, aren't I glad that she'll be asleep now, because she takes her meds for narcolepsy. So, but unfortunately, we've not really spoken much today. So I'll get an earful of that in the morning. Thanks for that, mate. Cheers to that.
Hey, mate, here for you. That's what mates do. That's what mates do. Yeah, Brad's channel is called a matter of opinion.
Yes, I may have to take that A to a lowercase a, because I think that might throw people off finding it. Apparently,
but the link should be in the description. Yeah, it is the link. I'm just looking at it now. The link is in the description to Brad's channel. And also give him a follow on full-time focus on Twitter. Brad, oh God, it's nearly midnight. You've got your dressing gown on ready.
Yeah, I do, mate.
I know. You're an old man in a young man's body there, aren't you?
Yeah. And like an old man, I'm starting to forget things, it seems, as well. So I need to concentrate more.
I don't know what you mean. Who are you?
I don't know. What are we doing?
I have no idea. I've said that many a post-match show. What are we really doing here? Brad,
we said that since the pre-season one you did, didn't we? When we first started it.
Nippon, on the Premier League predictions, it's always the same presenters, mate. It's myself, Brad, and Steve. So, but we have got you coming up, so we'll do something when we play Chelsea. I'm sure, Nippon. Yeah.
Although Steve's playing a new game. What he's doing for you is he's not turning up. He's sitting at home, putting his feet up at home with a drink, and he's letting Scott or someone else do his predictions in a desperate need to get some points on the board.
Do you know what happened? I can actually tell you what happened here, because I messaged him and I just said, like, are you all right, mate? Because, of course, last time that happened, there was some family problems. And I said, are you all right, mate? What's going on? Apparently somebody at work ran over his phone.
See, all it now excuses. He I reckon he's messaging Scott like, Scott, I'm really doing badly, mate. You did really well. I'll say my phone's broken. Can you just so we're giving all the excuses, Steve Larnett. You're just like bloody Jurgen Klopp blaming the weather.
Well, I couldn't. He said I couldn't ring you. I couldn't message you because my phone was in bits, and he had to go and get a new phone. Bless him.
I'll tell you what, a man of bad luck. He's had it all come.
Yes, yeah. It's not the best of luck, bless him. Oh God, all the best to you, Steve. I hope you get a new phone. Well, you have got a new phone, so we'll see you next week. I explained that Dan stood in for him, and that. Despite Dan not wanting to go for Spurs and Tottenham, or wanting to go for Spurs and Tottenham, we did actually stand our ground for those. Mate, Thank you so much. Good luck with the new channel. I say links are down below. And if you've been watching us on YouTube, really do appreciate it. Blue tinted glasses man, says Mike, is coming back soon. Well, he's your friend, mate. We're going to have to have a word with him. The problem is fitting him in. We've got 2 games every week between now.
If he is, you say you can't fit him in. He'll throw a right paddy. It cost you a lot of money last time to get him on. I can't be dealing with him, Chris. So don't mention not fitting him. Just say you're very honoured because he can hear you.
Can he hear me? I'm sure. You'll calm him down.
Bamba, give it up. So I just tell him that he'd come down the stairs. He was coming to have a shout. Chris, don't do that. It's nearly midnight.
All right, mate. I'll see you Sunday evening.
Yeah, easy like a Sunday morning. Hopefully, we're talking about an easy victory. I'm sure I'll be back in the good books if we smash Palace as well. So,
yeah, I'm sure you will. I'm sure. Fingers crossed for you, mate.
Yeah, cheers, buddy.
All right, thanks a lot. Have a good one. All the best.
And you, mate.
Cheers. Thanks very much. So, yeah, make sure to check out Brad's new channel, A Matter of Opinion. Link is in the description below in YouTube, and totally, it's not football, but it's like, it's a matter of opinion. People having different opinions. Talking of which, I haven't decided. I can't talk about it because it's not arranged yet, but we'll see you tomorrow, 1:00, when we'll be discussing the big game of the weekend. Is it going to be Manchester City? Is it going to be Liverpool? Thanks for watching Leicester Till I Die TV. Smash the likes, share if you can. Most of all, please subscribe. And if you've been listening to us on podcast, on all the major podcast platforms and a lot of others, thank you so much. Really do appreciate it. Take care all. 0-0. We're still in it. It's only half time. See you tomorrow at 1.
Thanks for watching Leicester Till I Die. This is Chris saying goodbye and see you next time.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram.
That's all, folks.